And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Loots, and I'm back with another tier list. So before we get started, please obviously comment down below what you think of the tier list at the end of the video. And if you're new, man, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. That'd be pretty cool. I'm not gonna start screaming at you about the road to whatever K or subscribers or whatever, dude. I don't care. Just get me to 1,000. You're good. That's it. So today we're going to be talking about the small forward position in NBA 2K21 My Team. Now, as with the point guard and shooting guard tier list that I did yesterday, go check those out. They'll be linked at the end of the video. We're doing primary position small forwards only. So a guy who plays small forward, power forward, he's counted as a small forward. Same with small forward, shooting guard. I had a couple people ask me why I forgot Grant Hill and Dominique Wilkins in the shooting guard tier list yesterday. It's because they're primary position small forwards, so they're on this list. So there we go. Like I said at the end of the video, comment down below what you think of the list and who you think should be higher. As much as I try to be unbiased, this is an opinion-based list, so take with that what you will. So let's get started here. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. A tier, any of these cards added to your team will make your team instantly better, but obviously the S tier guys are ahead. B tier, very good cards. If you do replace some of the cards on your team with these guys, it'll probably make them better. C tier, specialist guys. Good at one or two things, but generally the guys in B and above will obviously be better for your team. D tier, guys that I don't typically recommend using, but if you're good with them, fuck it, use them, who cares. And F tier, guys that I just typically think that you could do better than those cards at this stage in the game. Like I said, I'm not going to judge anyone for liking someone that I put in F tier, dude. It's like an opinion-based list, so it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, I think we can all agree that these guys, there's better options than them. So before we get any further, let's set up some ground rules here. I am only going to be ranking them as position small forward. That's the primary reason I'll be ranking them, but I will factor in their other position eligibility. For instance, when it comes to Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm not just going to be ranking him as a small forward. I am going to factor in what he can do as a power forward, because 100% of teams he gets played as power forward. He's not playing as small forward, so I'm going to try to factor that in as much as possible. So let's get started with Kelly Tripucka. He's D. I mean, he's a specialist card. Not quite a C tier one, but he's a good shooter. He's got decent size. He has a really sick mustache. The sick mustache alone keeps him out of F tier, if I'm being completely honest. So, Darius Miles, he's C tier. I like Darius Miles a lot. He's basically a budget version of a Giannis or a Ben Simmons, the way he plays. Obviously, he doesn't have that body type, which is obviously why those guys get ahead of him. I prefer Darius Miles' jump shot over, obviously, Ben Simmons, but Giannis as well. So, I still think that Darius Miles gets a lot of, I'm not going to say hate, but he doesn't get as much love as he deserves. He is actually a pretty good card, but if I'm being unbiased, I got to put him in C tier. He's definitely not worth going into B tier. Sorry I'm rambling today, man. I'm so tired, but here we are. Bernard King. This is actually a tough card to rank. He's one of the first pink diamonds, and he's the first wave of reward pink diamonds that come out. I just don't think he's very good. He's a good rim running card. He plays some decent defense, but he's not really the best card. I'll probably put him in C for now, just because he is usable. If you use Bernard King, he's a specialist. I mean, he fits the criteria of C tier. He can shoot a little bit from mid. He can rim run a little bit. His badges aren't terrible. He's got good finishing badges. He actually has some okay shooting badges for mid range. He's got some decent playmaking badges as well. He does have silver unpluckable and needle threader. You can add some decent defensive badges to him. Stats wise, he's okay. I think he has a decent jump shot. Yeah, he's got jump shot 5, which isn't terrible. It's the same one that Jamario Moon and Bobby Jackson have, and they're not really shooters. I don't know. Bernard King's just a weird one. I'm going to put him in C tier because although I do not like this card, me explaining what C tier is, it's Bernard King. He's a rim running small forward that plays a little bit of defense and has a good size. I mean, he's 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan. He's got long ass arms. He can hold it down occasionally, but Joe Ingles. I'm sorry, you know who you are. I like Joe Ingles. Like, I'm not going to sit here in front and say I don't like Joe Ingles, but when it comes to Joe Ingles, like, he has a really nice jump shot. I'm not going to lie. I'm warming up to his jump shot quite a bit. It's really easy to green, surprisingly. Like, I didn't really think that was the case, but it is easy to green. But, like, I don't preach meta gameplay here. So, although he's a really good three-point shooter, he just doesn't bring much else to the table. So, I mean, he just fits the criteria for D tier to a T. He does actually play decent defense, though. He has, like, silver clamps and, like, interceptor. Silver, he has, like, heart crusher, lightning reflexes. He's actually a kind of decent 3-and-D guy. That's tough. I'm going to keep him in D. I'm going to put him in C for now. I'm going to put him in C for now just because he does bring a little bit else. Like, he is a little bit of a specialist. But he is going to be the prime candidate to move down to D. But I do think he's better than Kelly Tripucka, especially at the small forward position, that's for sure. James Worthy. I'd put James Worthy at B tier. I think he's better at power forward than he is at small forward. But he's got good length. He moves well. He has a decent jump shot. You can badge him up pretty well, too. I like James Worthy. He's a good card. Tony Kukoc. Fuck Tony Kukoc, dude. I'm a Bulls fan, so I love Tony Kukoc, but, like, his card sucks. I don't like it. I mean, when it came out, it was okay. It's just at this stage, he's really outdated, so I wouldn't recommend running him. He's just a weird card because he doesn't really, like, move well enough and play defense well enough to play a small forward. He definitely doesn't handle the perimeter defense very well. But also being 6'10 and kind of slow, like, he doesn't hold down the interior or play the interior well enough to play power forward, so he's just kind of positionless. Not a huge fan. Latrell Sprewell. I think Sprewell's B tier. I like Sprewell a lot. You can badge him up pretty decent too. Some people like his jump shot, some people don't, but I'm a fan of it personally. It is a little bit slow. He's got decent hot zones. He's got good stats, great finishing badges, good shooting badges. Plus he can give him like range and tireless and deadeye and corner specialist. He does come standard with like gold clamps and silver intimidator, silver interceptor, so he's got really good defensive badges. I don't think he's A tier, but B tier for sure if you use him. Glenn Rice. I can't really say that Glenn Rice is worse than Joe Ingles. I mean, personally, I really don't believe he is. But at the same time, if you actually sit here and look at the cards themselves, like, Glenn Rice doesn't have the greatest jump shot this year because he doesn't have base 98, which kind of sucks. He does have Larry Johnson's release, which is really nice, though. So, like, they traded off one really nice release to give him just another one. He's got decent stats. My main problems with him is he doesn't have the greatest speed. He can't really handle the ball. His perimeter defense is I mean, pretty much all he does is shoot, which is fine. But, like, with Joe Ingles brings you... Yeah, I gotta put Glenn Rice down at D tier. I mean, he's an offensive monster, I'll give you that, but at the same time, all he can do is shoot. Literally, his whole thing is shooting. He doesn't play defense. He rebounds a little bit, but he's still not great at it, and he can't play the 2-guard, which is huge. Bron. I'm actually kind of torn on Bron. I'm going to leave him here, and I'm going to come back to LeBron. Because I will say he's either A or B tier. It's just kind of tough. I don't really know exactly where he's at. Evan Turner's alright, but he's just like D tier, I think. Evan Turner's decent. I actually, believe it or not, just got Evan Turner like the other day because I forgot to do this challenge when Season 1 ended. He just doesn't have very good hot zones. He's a good player, but there's nothing he excels at. He just kind of does a little bit of everything, but he does everything like mediocre. So, Caron Butler is C tier. Caron Butler is one of my favorite cards in the game. I'm not even kidding. He's absolutely elite. The fact that he's like 6,000 or less K, just kind of depends when you actually go to pick him up. He's got good hot zones. He's got good badges, good stats. I like his jump shot a lot. He's got that Hall of Fame corner specialist, which is huge. Playing the small forward position is great for him. He's 6'7". He's got good badges. He has like gold flexible, gold hot zone. He can't get range extender. That's probably the only reason he's out of B tier. And you're going to have to badge him up defensively, but he can get every defensive badge. When I do these tier lists, I try not to... like, I factor in the badges that they can get, but it's like I try not to make that a point. Like, I'm not going to say any specific YouTubers, but if you watch some other tier lists, you know, they're like, oh yeah, no, he's S tier because he can get this badge, this badge, this badge. He can get all these badges, dude. Look, man, I'm not trying to rank a dude just based off the badges he can get. Like, I try to factor everything in. Intangible stuff like jump shot, the amount of, because some jump shots make more slightly lates and slightly earlys than others, so I factor that in. I try to factor in how they do in various modes, both positions that they play, etc. So I try to do a little bit of everything. And as much as I like Caron Butler, I think he's definitely C tier. I can't say he without like certainty. I think he's the best member of C tier, for sure. And he may even move up to B tier at some point, but I can't argue anything else. Brandon Ingram is fucking A tier, dude. Brandon Ingram is so good. He's legitimately my favorite small forward in the entire game. 6'7", great length. Great ball handle. He's got great dribble moves. He dunks really hard. He has a wet three-pointer. I love Brandon Ingram's jump shot. He can get good badges as well. He's almost a complete package in this game. Kawhi Leonard. See, it's tough, man. I'm not a huge fan of Kawhi Leonard, but I also recognize that just animations alone, Kawhi Leonard is probably one of the best defensive cards in this game. A lot of people like his jump shot. I personally do not. But just based off defensive animations alone, he legitimately is one of the best defensive cards in this game. I'm probably going to put him down in B tier, though, just because I think there's guys who do exactly what Kawhi Leonard does a little bit better, and they also happen to just do a little bit more. So I'm going to throw him down in B tier. I will say he is better than James Worthy and Latrell Sprewell, in my opinion. So he's the top echelon of B tier, but he doesn't dribble very well. I personally don't like his shot, and I don't factor that in when I don't like someone's shot, but I will say it's not a beginner-friendly shot. So, like, if I go to throw Kawhi Leonard just onto your team and you haven't used Kawhi Leonard, you're going to struggle probably for a few games. Whereas I go and throw Brandon Ingram on your team, you're probably going to use him pretty well, at least initially. He's just a better beginner card. KZ, or no, it's not KZ Apollo, sorry. Isaac Okoro, that's actually tough. I probably put him at D tier. I don't really think he's necessarily like, I'm thinking fully evolved too, so I wouldn't really say that he's F necessarily. He can get a good defensive upgrade where he has like gold clamps and gold interceptor, and he can still score a little bit. He can't shoot for shit though. That's kind of a problem. Let's check his athletic upgrade. That's just finishing badges and stuff. Doesn't help his shot at all though. Yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, I like Isaac Okoro, but I gotta drop him in F tier. He's a defensive specialist that really doesn't bring anything else to your table. That being said, I like this card. He's fun to use, especially in like TTO, but being objective, like, I think all of these guys are better than him. Like, yes, even Tony Kukoc, who I hate. Grant Hill's S tier. Like, Grant Hill's unstoppable. Legitimately unstoppable. It's not particularly close. My man is crazy. I don't even need to go into any team. If you add Grant Hill to your team, it gets better. Straight up. Kevin Durant, I mean B tier. He's KD, so he's got the KD body type, KD everything. And that's just a fake thing in 2K as it is, but I'm not really a huge fan of Kevin Durant personally. So he's a good card, but I think he's a little bit outdated. But he does have those KD animations. He has that KD body type. It's kind of hard to really fight those. Basically the same reason I have Kawhi in B tier. Like, just that player in itself pretty much gets B tier just by being a diamond version of Kawhi or Kevin Durant. Brent Berry. Brent Berry is actually pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, he's C tier. He doesn't really bring anything to the defensive end. Like, at least Joe Ingles brings you some decent defensive stats. I know everyone's gonna hate on Joe Ingles being in C tier, but like, yeah, Brent Berry's, you know what? No. Brent Berry's a really good shooter, but I would say he's D tier. He's a specialist, and he only does a couple things, so. Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird's C tier at this stage in the game. He's just a top tier specialist. He's a shooter. He plays a little bit of defense. He's just a way better version of Joe Ingles, like, if we're being completely honest here. I don't think he deserves to be in B tier. These guys are more well-rounded players that do a little bit of everything. Larry Bird, he shoots really well. He's got a really nice jump shot. Obviously, it's Larry Bird. He makes a lot of whites, man. I don't know what's up with this card. I think it has to do with his jump shot. But he has silver clamps, which is solid, but he's a little bit slow. He has kind of slow lateral quickness, and he doesn't really run rim. So I just think that these guys are better options to improve your team. Detlef Schrempf. I think Detlef's B tier. He's actually pretty good. He's got decent size. He can play the small forward. He's got decent speed. He's just an overall pretty good card. He does a little bit of everything. It's just nothing is like absurdly good. I like his jump shot, but some people don't. Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen is a pretty decent 3-and-D guy, but to be completely honest with you, like someone like Caron Butler, I think is better than Bruce Bowen. Cam Reddish is A tier. Like, legitimately. The only thing that keeps him out of S tier is the fact that he can't ball handle, like, at all. Him having the ball is sketch. Like, he'll get the ball ripped from him a lot. But that being said, this card is insanely good. He's got one of the highest badge counts in the game as far as, like, a pink diamond. His hot zones could use a little work, but if you're running him at small forward, they're totally fine. He's got decent speed. Like I said, the only issue I have with him is just his ball handle, which it's at an 86, but it's weird. Some guys like will be at an 86 ball handle, and it feels like they get ripped significantly more than other guys. Another good example of this would be Jason Richardson, who seems to get the ball ripped from him all the time for no reason. I don't understand it. They did him super dirty because he's actually like a really good ball handler in real life. But Cam Reddish is kind of the same way, but other than that, he's got elite badges. The only other thing that keeps him out of S tier is he has Silver Range Extender, which is totally fine, but you can't upgrade it. I don't really care about that, but I do recognize that it's like, you know, that kind of sucks. But I feel like Grant Hill. No, Grant Hill gets range, so I feel like you can upgrade Grant Hill's range. I'm almost certain. Let me double check that first before I start ripping into Cam Reddish. Like, Grant Hill doesn't have the most elite hot zones, I will say, but at the same time, you can upgrade his range all the way up. And the other thing about Grant Hill is he does come standard with that Hall of Fame corner specialist and flexible, so that's cool, and catch and shoot, which I believe my man does too. But Grant Hill is just so unstoppable at every aspect. He's like god tier defensively. He runs rim to a point where it's almost ridiculous how unstoppable he is. Cam Reddish is like very good, and he's just a couple little intangibles away from going into S tier. Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo's C tier. Look, they still haven't fixed the fucking issue of every time he shoots from the corner, it's a 2 instead of a 3, because he steps over the line every time. Just that alone is so annoying. Like, I can't put him in B tier based on that, but it's not like I hate on Melo or anything, but when you have a guy that literally can't shoot corner threes that plays small forward, that is hugely, hugely important. So, Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin's B tier, dude. He's like a better version of Larry Bird and Joe Ingles. The reason also I'm putting him in B tier is because if you've played against Chris Mullin, the fucking guy does not miss three-pointers. Like, he makes so many slightly earlys and slightly lates. It's absolutely absurd. Like, it's awful. Julius Erving. Julius Erving's B tier. I like Julius Erving a lot. I would say he's top echelon B tier. But it's like when I'm thinking about it realistically, like another guy does basically everything Julius Erving does, significantly better. Like, Grant Hill is a way better version of what Julius Erving does, and then the other guy in A tier is just a better version. Does that make sense? Kawhi. Sorry, buddy. He literally can't shoot. He can't really do much at all. He doesn't even have a good mid-range. But that being said, for limited runs, my man Kawhi's up here. He plays great defense, but that's literally all he does, and you still have to even pump a bunch of MT into badges for him to do that, so... Chuck Person. Chuck Person's C tier. I like Chuck Person a lot. I'm not going to say he's up in B tier right here, but Chuck Person is a solid free card. He's really good. Connie Hawkins. Connie Hawkins is kind of tough, dude, because I haven't got a chance to use him. So I'm just kind of going off what other people have said about him. So it's kind of tough. Like, jump in the comments down below if you have Connie Hawkins and let me know. Like, I'm probably going to put him in the long... You're not going to agree with where I put him, probably. He's definitely not D tier. I just don't know enough about him to throw him in B tier, to be completely honest with you. He seems like a pretty decent card, but until I actually use a card, it's really hard to rank him, so I probably just won't. I'm just going to slap him in C tier. I've looked into him a little bit. I've watched some gameplay videos, but it's kind of hard to tell. He's got really good hot zones for the small forward position. He doesn't really shoot threes, which is kind of an issue. It's like a 78-3, but he's excellent finishing. You can give him pretty much every shooting badge as well, and he's got elite defensive badges. So he's, yeah, C tier seems about appropriate for him. He's just a good card. Corey Maggette, I would just throw him in C tier. Like, he's bang average. Dominique, A tier, without a doubt. Once again, he's like a better version of Julius Erving, in my opinion. He's got an easier to time jump shot. He dunks the ball harder. He handles the ball a little bit better. Personally, he's just better at everything instead of Julius Erving. Danny Granger, a D tier. I like Danny Granger, but he literally only shoots. He can't do anything else. Paul Pierce. That's kind of tough, man. I got to think about Paul Pierce for a second, because Paul Pierce is like, I don't know. LeBron, I'm going to put in B tier. He deserves to be in B tier. LeBron's really solid, but Paul Pierce is tough, man. I will say he's between A and S tier. Like, he's really good. I just don't know if S tier is right. The only thing that sketches me out about putting him in S tier is his low badge count. Like, I don't know. He has great shooting badges, but at the same time, they're shooting badges that pretty much everyone has at this stage in the game. Like, he's got great badges, and especially for Season 1, those badges were elite. But he, I don't know, man. He doesn't have Carmelo Anthony base like last year, which is fine, so he doesn't step out of bounds as much. He still does sometimes. Like, the Paul Pierce base will still do it occasionally, but I think he deserves to be at A tier. I just don't think he deserves S tier as of right this second. Just because if you look at the cards that are out, like, he's starting to get outdated, so I don't believe S tier is right for Paul Pierce. As far as he's a good card, he's absolutely incredible. He's got great stats. He's got great shooting badges. You can give him badges, but he's got kind of an overall low badge count. And you can't give him like interceptor, defensive leader, lightning reflexes, like a lot of important defensive badges. Which is fine. It's not really the end of the world, but at the same time, he only has 3 Hoff badges, 20 golds, which is fine. His tendencies are kind of low as well. Like, if you look at his tendencies, especially his defensive tendencies, they're low. Yeah, I just don't think he's S tier anymore at this stage. Like, I might fuck around and move some other guys up to S tier. Like, Cam Reddish might. He's the one who's going to move up to S tier. Like, he's an incredibly good card. Just that dribbling's kind of rough. Scottie Pippen, D. He's a defensive card that runs rim. He's a better version of this Kawhi. Steven Jackson, as much as I like him, he's D tier at this stage. You know what? He's still a budget god, dude. Just his player build alone deserves for him to be in C tier. He's got a really nice jump shot as well. He lacks some badges, but some stuff you just can't upgrade, man. Like, when it comes to like body type and release, like, sometimes that alone will get you into C tier. Lou Hudson. Lou Hudson's a little bit small, but he's like C. He's actually pretty good. I had to use him for the challenge last season, and I was actually surprised. He was a pretty decent card. Plus, he's got a sick mustache, right next to Connie Hawkins. He's like a better version of Chapuka, honestly. Giannis. So, Giannis is really tough because Giannis alone is, his body type alone gets him at least into B tier. But the fact that he can play power forward and he's still one of the best power forwards in the game, I think he deserves to be A tier. Just for dribble sigs, Giannis defensive animations, like Giannis body type, speed, upgradable badges, like, he deserves to be an A tier. I will say he's low A tier. Like, Brandon Ingram and Giannis are probably the same. I like Brandon Ingram, but let's be real here. But I think like Cam Reddish and Dominique are way better. Like, Giannis is on the low end of A tier, but I think he's better than all of these guys, especially because he can hold down power forward so well. Denny Avicii, D. He's all right. Robert Reed, I hate Robert Reed, dude. F tier. I hate him so much. And then we got better Robert Reed, Larry Cannon. Yeah, I don't really need to go in too much on that. This LeBron James is D tier. Like, I mean, I'm just being real here. Like, this LeBron is absolutely D tier. He might even be F. I really don't like this LeBron James card, to be completely honest with you. Like, I think he's fucking awful. Like, truly awful. He has 1 hot zone. He's got a good badge count, but they're all silvers and bronzes, but not one of them is upgradable. Like, he's just not good. He can't shoot. Like, straight up. He's got the LeBron James body type. It's the only thing that keeps him out of F. But to be honest, I'd use most of these cards over him. John Havlicek is C tier. He's okay. I mean, he's okay. Kevin Durant is S tier. I don't like Kevin Durant, but realistically, like, just with what this card, bro, if you've looked at Kevin Durant this year, they like changed his player build. Like, last year he looked about 6'9", 6'10". This year he literally looks like he's like 7'1". It's fucking insane. He's so massive this year. His arms are so long. He's wet from outside. He does everything. Dennis Scott. I actually like Dennis Scott, C tier. He's low end of C tier. Like, he's down here with Joe Ingles and Corey Maggette as, like, low end of C tier. And Steven Jackson. Like, low end C tier for sure. Just like how, like, Larry Bird is top tier, C tier. But that being said, he's still really good. Like, he's a good 3-and-D card. I like him a lot. Paul George. Dude, Paul George is tough, man. I think, yeah, Cam Reddish is a better version of Paul George, but Paul George alone, just with his body type, defensive tendencies, jump shot, deserves to be a B tier. He's a good card. Keith Van Horn, D. Like, he's just there. Mike Dunleavy, D. Like, he's just kind of there. It's just nothing more I can say about that. Mark Aguirre, I hate Mark Aguirre, dude. D tier. Tyreek's really good, but I think, to be completely honest with you, I really like Tyreek, but I would say he's low B tier, high C tier at the absolute best. To be completely honest with you, like, I really like this card, but his jump shot's a little weird. But if you can use him, you can use him. Andrew Wiggins deserves to be right next to Steven Jackson at C tier. Richard Jefferson's actually pretty decent. He's probably high D tier at the absolute lowest. Honestly, he'd probably C. He's low C tier. Like, he's okay. Elgin Baylor, high C tier. Pretty good card, but he's just a little outdated at this stage. Vinsanity, look, I have people going at me about the Harden thing yesterday, and it's like, whoa, where are you going? You're not going over there. I'll put him in A tier for right this second, but I just want to talk about this Vince Carter card. Vince Carter is legitimately one of the most annoying cards in the entire game. First off, he has lethal hot zones. He's got great badges. He has silver clamps, which you cannot upgrade, okay? I get that. But his stats are ridiculous. He is literally one of the best rim running cards in the game. It's not even particularly close. He has playmaking badges, defensive badges. He's got the Vince Carter jump shot, which is really good. His tendencies. He literally has 100 flashy dunk tendency. He dunks on fucking everyone. It's absolutely ridiculous. His defensive stats are a little bit weak, but he does have a 75 shot contest, which is better than a lot of these guys here. I'm almost tempted to put this man into S tier because he's literally that annoying and that fake. Like, adding this man to your team makes it substantially better offensively, just off the rip, and passable defensively. He can do everything. There's not anything this card cannot do. I feel like he's low S tier, honestly. I hate this card, but he's low S tier. Like, there's just nothing I can do about it. Xavier McDaniel. I actually like Xavier McDaniel, but if we're looking at it rationally, I just don't think. No, he's D tier. He's better than some of these guys. Paul Pressey sucks, dude. I hate Paul Pressey. He's so bad. LeBron. I mean, it's LeBron. Like, he's S tier. I'll probably drop Vince Carter down to A tier. As much as I like this card, trying to be rational, like, I don't think he's S tier, personally. He is the tippity top of A tier, but I don't think he's S tier. What do we got? Andre Iguodala. I hate Iguodala so much. He's decent, but you know what? He's D tier. Not very many F tier guys. I try not to do that. Rolando's C tier. He's decent. Like, he's okay. What do we got? Chris Money Middleton. He's B tier. He's okay. He's pretty good. He's a good 3-and-D guy with a lot of length, but he doesn't really do anything else. Decent jump shot. Jamal Wilkes. I gotta be unbiased here. He's F tier at this stage in the game. Mashburn. Mashburn's the tippy top of D tier. I like Mashburn a lot, but realistically, you know, I'm dropping Richard Jefferson down here too. I like both those guys, but for being honest, I'm using every single guy in C tier over those guys at this stage. Jimmy Buckets. I like Jimmy Buckets, and I say he's top of C tier. I like him a lot, but he's not on this B tier level. Like, there's just no reason. Oh, Glenn Robinson 100% is. He's the tippy top of B tier. I would take Glenn Robinson over every single one of these cards in B tier. No fucking lie. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm taking it over Julius Erving. I'm using him over Kawhi, Kevin Durant, all of these guys. Maybe not Chris Mullin, depending on what my team's looking like. But definitely everyone else. Dude, he's absolutely incredible. He plays defense. He is a Zion clone. Wet jump shot. Wet from 3. So good. Joe Smith. D. Him and Mashburn deserve to be right next to each other. Peja Stojakovic. I hate Peja. Low C tier. Like, I hate this card so much, dude. Josh Jackson is actually not bad. He's like upper echelon of D tier. He plays exceptional defense and has a great player build and can shoot just enough. Andre Iguodala. So here's the problem with Andre Iguodala, right? I obviously do not have Andre Iguodala. So I'm going off what other people have said about Iggy and just going off looking at his card. So if you disagree with Iggy where he's placed, I totally understand that, just because I'm not entirely sure where to place this guy either. Like, usually I at least play with most of the cards before I do these tier lists, or at least play a few games, but Iguodala is the one I haven't played with. He's got good badges, especially he's one of the most elite defensive cards in this entire game. He's got good stats as well. He's got 91 speed. I mean, everyone else has been saying this card is great. He's got the Iggy release. That's kind of the only problem with it. Some people really like it. I'm not a huge fan of it. But if I'm looking at the parameters of S tier, like, I mean, does he fit him? Like, does just adding this card to your team make him better? I think so. He's kind of an elite 3-and-D guy and can run rim. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of rough when it comes to Iguodala. Like, I don't see too many weaknesses in his game. He's literally one of the best defensive cards in this entire game. It's not particularly close. He can get Deadeye and flexible release. He can't get range extender, which I like. If you watch my channel, I'm not the biggest dick rider of range extender. Like, if a card doesn't have range, I'm not tripping. He's upper echelon A tier with Vince Carter, I think, personally. If you want to argue he's S tier or even B tier, I totally would hear that out. I'm not really, Lamar Odom, C. He's alright. Not a huge fan of him, but he does have a decent player build. That puts him there alone, basically. Mike Miller, C. Great shooter. That's about it. Purvis Short. He's about as fucking okay as you could possibly get. Reggie Williams is not good. Like, at all. Sean Elliott. I like Sean Elliott a lot. And Sean Marion, but they're probably D tier. Probably, like, higher up in D tier. Because Sean Marion's great defensively, and Sean Elliott has a great jump shot, but that's about it. Another card that's hard for me to rank because I haven't got him yet is our final card here, which is Michael Finley. Michael Finley is interesting. I love Michael Finley in game. Some people hate Michael Finley in game, that's why it's a little interesting. He has pretty decent hot zones. Pretty much all of them are 3-point hot zones. His badge count is kind of low, but he's got a 93 3-pointer. His speed is kind of low as well. He's got great shooting badges, pretty weak finishing badges, no defensive badges, but you can apply a bunch of defensive badges to him. He's got a low badge count, but you can pretty much give him every badge in the game. That being said, he just has like no defensive stats. Like, his defensive perimeter defense is really bad. His steals are bad. Everything's kind of bad. His tendencies, I believe, are not great. Yeah, his tendencies are not great as well. He's got set shot 4, which I really like set shot 4. That's like Peja, Tyreek Evans, Dave Bing, Keith Van Horn, Rashard Lewis, like that, Barbosa. And then release 49 upper. That's what kind of kills it, though. I don't know about... yeah, honestly, I'd probably put Michael Finley in B tier. He's a really, really good card, but he does have enough glaring weaknesses that I can't justify putting him in A tier, to be completely honest with you. So anyways, this is the list, you guys. Let me know what you think down below. I'll be honest with you. I kind of believe that Vince Carter deserves to be an S tier, but at the same time, like, trying to be as rational as possible about it, I think these three guys are more deserving of S tier because they have different intangibles that put them above Vince Carter a little bit. That being said, like, for my team, I'm probably going to use Vince Carter over all these guys. But I can rationalize that adding these three guys to your team, regardless what your team looks like, makes it better, straight up. So anyways, comment down below what you think of the list. Come through, comment, tell me what you disagree, agree with, whatever. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that. I tried to make it as unbiased as possible, but shit slips through the cracks occasionally, especially when you get up to A and S tier. That's when usually people have problems with it. Other than that, check the description for all my stuff, Patreon, Twitch, etc. Come follow your boy, support me on Patreon, $3 a month, whatever. You don't have to, it's all good. I have a podcast too called Will This Ever End, and I'll be back later today with my power forward tier list, which I'm sure will be just as divisive. So peace out, you guys. I appreciate you.